Sorry.
Thank you.
I'd like to call the Superior Planning and Zoning Commission to order. All stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation. Dear Lord, thank you for helping our community grow and prosper, and please help us keep doing it. Thank you for all the people that on this 75th anniversary of D-Day. And please help all good, kind folks in this town. Amen. Roll call. Hank Gutierrez. Here. Henry Munoz.
Here.
Sherry Fedor. Jesse Garcia.
Here.
David Dunn.
Here.
Joy Evelyn.
Here.
Matt Ashaw. Here. Complete. Planning and Zoning Commission. Consent agenda, approval of March 7th, 2019, regular agenda minutes.
Make a motion that we approve those minutes and any mistakes.
Motion made by Joy Evelyn to approve March 7th, regular agenda minutes. Do I hear a second?
I second the
Seconded by Jesse Garcia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries to accept minutes of March 7th. Approval of April 4th, 2019 work session minutes.
Can I make one small change?
Sure.
Under Commissioner Fidor, it said, ask why there are limits. I
Please
had
speak
no-
into your mic so we can hear you.
I'm sorry. I had no problem with the time limit restriction, but I was curious about the restriction to 5 events since we already have 5. So, yes, half, and yes, no.
Which one?
Very minor change, yeah, I just objected to the limitation to the number of events. Not the limit.
You know what page?
Which meeting minutes are you referring to?
April 4th. Yeah. Oh, I'm sitting there, oh, never mind, it's too late, that was March. I don't know.
It's okay.
Okay.
No change?
Sorry about that.
Strike that. Do I hear a motion to approve April 4th, 2019 work session minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for April 4th.
Motion made by Joy Evelyn for approval of April 4th, 2019 work session minutes. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by David Gunn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Disapproved. Motion carries to approve April 4th, 2019 work session minutes. New business, public hearing, discussion, possible approval of resolution 2019-03, a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Superior recommending that the Town Council rezone property from the urban residential R1-8 zone district to the multiple residential R3 zone district.
So from R1-8,
R1-8 to R3.
can you just give us an overview of what the difference is between the two, not just for us, but for the public? Todd?
It's, that residential is one residential living unit. R1 is one residential living unit per acre, I believe, per lot. Up to 8, you have to have 8,000 square feet to put one, so R1-8. It's basically a single home residential zone district. R3 is a multiple high-density residential zone district. So you can have up to 20 per acre.
You can have what?
I believe 20 per acre. So it's a higher density residential zone district.
You say 20, what does that 20 represent? Units?
Units per acre.
Is there any definition on units, whether it's a structure or?
Park model and recreation.
It's a residential living unit, dwelling unit, so it could be a house, an RV, a mobile home.
Okay.
Right now, it just says use, park models and recreation. It is allowed in that zone, RV zone. Chapter 2, 135, wherever that's about. Because I looked everything up and I just found out everything I got's outdated. So I did have some questions.
Yeah, that's, our R3, the reason it needs to be changed to that is that's the only zoning district that would allow a RV park.
Okay, question? It says that, shall not be less than 10 acres exclusive of the right of way. So it can go up to the 20 acres?
I'm not sure what 20 acres you're talking about. This is 20 spaces per
It's
acre.
20 units. Yes.
Per acre.
Per acre. So that would be if it's 20 units, it would be 20 acres.
No.
Per acre. Oh, 23, boy, that's,
This is all covered in 3.12 of the zoning code.
I think mine's outdated. I didn't really realize that, Todd, because I was looking stuff up. And obviously, on the mobile park, you know,
Yeah, I would encourage everyone to purge your old versions of the zoning code. If you need a new one printed, we can do that. It's also available on the website.
well, it says, you know, there's two parking spaces, at least one can be covered, and the other one provided for each mobile home space.
So right now, all we're doing is rezoning.
Well, does it have any, I'm curious about, people have been saying, what about the noise? I don't know, because I really don't know what's, you know, except for what I got in the packet. Can you speak up?
Can you speak into your mics, please?
So, can Lana sort of explain it?
Yes, I'm here, I can explain it.
You probably should, because, like I said, I just found out all my stuff's
The
out
main
there.
point is, today, this article, this particular parcel unit is box 8 for rezoning. They will build a RV park, they will not may build RV park. However, they are in outdated, they're in R-8 zone unit, zone district right now, which is R-8 is up to 8,000 square feet lot. Their lot is 2.331 acres. So it has to be R-3 zone for multi-units. They might will build something, they might will sell their land in the future. Let's say they will sell their land for the development, for the houses, not for RV park. This is the main idea of rezoning.
So how many houses can they build there?
Like we said, there is for rules and regulations, zoning code ordinance, 20 dwelling units per acre. In 1 acre, it's allowed, Pinal County has exactly the same 20, up to 20 dwelling units per acre. When they sell land, let's say they put the subdivision of the house as residential. residential. And 1 acre is a large lot, so each one could be up to 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 square feet house. So that's the main purpose. The main purpose is not RV park, don't look at it that way, but because they have a large acre lot, that's the reason is why they're requested to rezone. And the RV park is in the future.
Okay, do they hook up to city sewer then?
They will, if they will do that, there is a, we're working on it, actually, and each RV will have to pay monthly fees. City, Town of Superior is not going to lose money on it. They have, we did a preliminary check of their property lot. They have 10-inch sewer, sanitary sewer, which is more than enough for, let's say, 10 RVs. That would feed at least 20 houses minimum. 50 houses can use that 10-inch pipe. It's for a very large area. So the sanitary sewer is not a problem. Next, if you asked about the noise, I did suggest it in the future. Usually when people would decide to have an RV park, what they do, they build a sound wall, decorative sound wall, which serves 3 purposes: aesthetic view, soundproof view, and privacy. That's perhaps if they will decide to go with RV park, which is in question, which is not the main reason why they're rezoning. So I would make this, for you to make it clear, it's possible future in the future. They don't know yet exactly what they're going to do.
But to be clear, for a recreational vehicle park would require a separate conditional use permit, which isn't being heard in this hearing.
Okay,
So-
the other thing,
They're only applied and they only pay for permits for rezoning, right?
okay. The other thing, and I did have a phone call on this, that on the other side of the swimming pool is the county.
Female County.
And
property.
they want it, I heard they want to annex it into the city.
Well, it's up to the, I will tell you, this is up to the owner of the property, whoever owns that property, they're allowed to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, they have to pay for the annexation.
No, not as far as I know. We haven't got any paperwork for that.
To be clear, the town is considering annexing that section of the town, that section of the property into the town limits. That property would be annexed at whatever it's zoned in the county right now.
So that will be,
It would have to be general plan and reserve zoned appropriately. But right now, it is not in city limits, and it will probably be part of whatever next annexation area we do for that.
and if they will proceed to annexation, that would be another plus for the town of Superior.
Okay.
A couple of questions. Let's go back to basics based on what I've seen on requests for zoning changes. And I haven't seen it out there, maybe I haven't looked close enough. Isn't there a requirement to put some kind of signage up, not just a notice in the paper, to actually put some kind of billboard or board so that everybody driving by knows that this is being considered for a zoning change? Is that changed, or was that a requirement, or am I on a different tangent?
As far as I know, it's never been a requirement since I've been here.
Okay.
That doesn't,
Okay, another question. I know you're tired of it,
I
but,
have
do you have to send letters to the people within 300 feet?
Yes, exactly, that's what we did.
You already know.
We've done that a couple months ago, and I have all the list of the property. I did the research, I got the addresses, and sent within the radius of 300 feet to each owner.
So if I ask a question, I'll just tell them to go to town hall and talk to you.
Also, the notification, I think, was placed on the boards in the post office, in front of our building, and some public places. And also, that was in the newspaper. We did publish it in the newspaper.
You know how small this little room is?
Months and a half ago.
have to get the magnifying glass out.
There's a lot of information in the newspaper.
Yeah, there is.
Thank you. Another question?
You actually have two more.
That's what we can allow.
So, just kind of recapping what you said, it's actually, we're looking at just the zoning component. Is that correct? And based on that zoning change, possible changes, that you're looking at maybe 50 housing units.
No.
It could be, is that what you said? You said 50.
No, I said 50 for sanitary sewer, the capacity of 10-inch sanitary sewer pipe and clean out that they have could handle 50, 100
Okay.
houses,
Okay.
but that's not what I said. that
But
they
you also
will.
said that we're not looking at this as a consideration for an RV park. We're just looking at rezoning.
Right.
Let me clarify that. Require the zone text amendment, a zone map change does require they present a proposed new use. So that's part of the requirement. It doesn't necessarily mean that since they aren't applying for a conditional use permit, doesn't mean they can immediately do that without getting a conditional use
Yes.
permit. But the intent of these zoning changes to allow that particular type of use if they want to apply for a conditional use permit.
So they have to submit that based on the, maybe the thought, or there may be a concept that they would do either an RV park or possibly housing units.
If
Right.
they decide to sell to
Is that yes or no?
yes, that's
Okay.
possible,
Okay.
Yeah.
but we haven't heard.
I know that. I mean, I really know that. I just want to make sure it's just either or. Because we're dealing in hypotheticals here, because they may or may not. There may be an RV park, and there may be additional housing. You don't know, Todd doesn't know, we don't know.
A zoning change only says that they can, that we are giving them the ability to do a type of use that's allowed in
Okay.
R3. And that, again, RV parks are allowed under R3, but it does require a conditional use permit, and we are not considering a conditional use permit.
Now listen, let me take another hypothetical here, because that's what we're dealing with here, once we make the change. If this is approved either today or somewhere down the future to an R3, and the owners of this particular property come back and say, well, you talked about conditional use. Would that be conditional use for an RV park or conditional use for structures?
Conditional use for RV park, for the structures, it would still have to have a design review.
Okay,
And it would, if you were attempting to create a subdivision, you would have to subdivide the property. I mean, there's,
yeah.
the R3 that could be put in there would be something like an apartment complex, something like that. That's an acceptable use. Those all would go through a design review process as well. But those are allowed uses in those districts, so they wouldn't have to go through zoning change.
Are we going to have an opportunity to hear from the neighbors?
This is a public hearing, and it should be open to the public, and anyone who wants to address the commission should have the right to do so.
Todd, I have a question. The city boundary, where is it on this map here, this overhead shot? I know there was a city boundary that would go in front of the Smith house, correct?
You can see the city
Back of the
line
house?
between the house and the pool.
They got service building, but it's actually a home.
After that, we'll decide
Not?
So Todd, does this go to the council after we vote on it?
Yeah.
And this is just for the zone change?
Yes.
When you asked about the property line, I would like to
Yes.
specify that is, the image is Google, it is conceptual plan, it's not specific civil engineering design map,
Yeah.
which the property line would be surveyed, and I think the owners told me that they have a survey of the property line, which will have all the northern easting, all the good coordinates. Tom is correct. This is a GIS property line. It might be off couple, 3-4 feet. The GIS boundaries,
So
it's
give or
always
take, the
really
first front
off.
row is basically within the city boundaries,
Yes, but
correct?
that's a very close boundary line, and it is within the city
Another question
Over
over,
by the pool.
No,
I'm talking about the front, toward,
Everything.
That's in the city.
yeah, toward Ernest.
The front is the right of way of that,
Yeah.
on Donald Street. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I read that over there. My other question is basically, this is the first step of the process to say if he wanted to do it, go ahead and go with the RV park, correct?
Well,
It's a step forward, isn't
But
it?
he has to do a site plan and everything.
Yeah, but it's
if
the
they're,
first
if
step.
they're will pursue, they might just leave it all for, like that, and that they will just rezone their property and will not do anything. Like we said, we don't know what they're going to do. But the first thing, they have to show something. What is their future thoughts? And I cannot answer that question, so only honor can answer that question.
Well, I guess that goes back for my clarification, because, well, and I'm gonna repeat this. If we go to R3, and if there's any other, whether it be an RV, whether it be structures, it has to come back for, what do you call that, Todd?
Design review.
Design review, right? So
Yes.
even if this is okay, it still may not pass a design review.
Yes, possible.
Or what do you call that use?
A conditional use permit.
Yeah, conditional
RV
use.
parks require conditional use.
Yeah, so we're not authorizing that. We're just giving them the plate for that possibility.
And a design review may say that, we would approve it, but we want sound dampening walls or X, Y, Z requirement to make sure that it's
Yeah.
good for the community. But that's not what we're considering tonight. We're just considering
Okay.
blanket zone change.
When you get done with this, if it goes to the council and everything, which I presume it will we get a new zoning map? We don't have an up-to-date zoning map.
The one online is up to date. So it's a GIS map and it's updated on a regular basis. So whenever there's a change made, then it's changed to the GIS.
So we can go to the website and print one out.
It's zoomable, you can manipulate it, you can put satellite imagery behind it, it's a very useful map.
And turn on any layers you would like.
Chairman.
Yes.
This is a picky engineer looking at this. The address in the second paragraph under project analysis says the address is 266. The actual resolution says that the address is 226. The application says 226. Which address is it?
I think they'll click there to see if we're reading that.
So is it on here?
We're having a hard time looking at your 266, what paragraph are we looking at?
Second paragraph under project analysis. First line.
Okay, that's a description and it's not part of the formal resolution, so it won't have to be mentioned as part of it. Just background information.
So it's 226.
It's all correct on the resolution.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you for noticing that.
Picky engineering.
That's very good.
Again, Chairman, I would encourage you to open this, since this is a public hearing, open this up to the public for anyone who wants to address it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I guess for me, is that there was a lot of information that was sent in the packet. Some of the stuff was highlighted, and it kind of to me, it was kind of like, what are we gonna, I knew it was zoning, but there's things that were highlighted for RV parks, space development. I guess maybe that was just for general information.
Correct.
Yeah, because, if we're just doing a zoning change, I guess that you're just outlining those possibilities with what you said. correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So you have better idea how will have to design for rules and regulations of the house.
So more information is better than less information in this
That's
case.
right.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, I'd like to call the public. Anybody have any comments?
Yes.
She'll take it, set it up there.
This is technically not call to the public. This is anybody who's addressing this agenda item. There's a separate call to the public section in the back, but anyone that wants to address this issue?
Okay, I'm gonna be, I don't know if I go here or
To
later.
the
You'll
mic.
come to the podium, so
Okay.
try to speak in the mic. Hopefully it'll
Can I
work.
make some remarks, please?
Yeah.
My name is David Lira. I live at 238 West Sunset Drive, in the property on the west side of the property. It's being recommended for, for rezoning. And I'd like to refer to my daughter to make my remarks on my concerns. And we talked at length about it, so she has a good idea of what we're looking at. Thank you.
Let me just first say,
Can you state your name, please?
sorry, Elaine, last name Griego, G-R-I-E-G-O, David's daughter. Question I have, since the discussion got started, is there already a conditional use permit that's been approved for this property?
No.
Okay, so we do want to talk about the prospects of what could come with an RV park and so forth, but we're also concerned the fact that there are already trailers on the property. They are already hooking up to power. They're already hooking up to city sewer. They're right next to my parents' property
The
line.
map's not correct.
The map is in
That easement is not gone, and the trailer is all the way up to my parents' fence.
The easement, my sister found in 1988, Harry and Helen Smith did a grant of that easement to APS for purposes of maintaining the area and so forth, for safety, health, and so forth of the property. So that is APS property as far as we're understanding, and on that property, there has already been built 8 outlets and city sewer hookups. We had up to 8 trailers there at a time, families, dogs, everything, right up against my parents' property line. So what we were wondering is if this had already been approved for some use.
No, and to my understanding, that has initiated code enforcement action by the
Yes.
town.
It
And
was.
Sounds like an enforcement issue.
yes, and that initiated the attempt to rezone at this point because we advised them they could not do what they were doing. So they have to rezone their property and they have to apply for conditional use permit if they would like to do it. So this is, the town initiated code enforcement based on those conditions.
Okay.
So how many houses are there, or trailers? I think there's 6.
I think there's no. There's 2 there right now. I have pictures that I took right before we came, and they are much further. This map of what the future might look like definitely is not indicative of what he has set up for right now, because the very proper. If you're looking on the bottom left map, if you're looking at my father's properties on the west side. The very bottom left is my parents' well, and within yards of that well, there is a trailer parked that hooked up to city sewer yards away from the well.
Probably about 12 feet measured.
Yeah, and there are many hookups. I have photos, and again, there's another trailer a little further down as well.
Have
So-
you gone to Todd about this?
We are absolutely aware, again, we have sent the code enforcement officer, they did do stop work orders, they have ordered them to no longer rent out space on those spots. We initiated a code enforcement action that is the reason we're here tonight. This is an attempt to make them bring it legal. To be clear, I'm not arguing in any way, shape, or form that there were subcode or things put in without permits in the past. We're attempting to correct that with the order right now.
Also, we drove specifically
last time we passed by on Paloma Street, to be honest with you, I didn't see any RVs there. Maybe I didn't see it in the deeper, but to me, it looked, it was empty, it was, the RVs that we used to stay near the Paloma Street, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they're
And,
here every day.
this map is, it's a picture, it's not the civil engineering design map, so please.
Well, we just wanted to make sure they were aware that that means it no longer exists.
And it's a conceptual map. What they call it conceptual doesn't mean it's how it will be.
It's how it is.
Yeah, and that's what
No,
we
it's
were,
not.
we-
This is it.
well, we thought this is what this was for tonight, but like I say, I do have photos of that trailer, is much, further, which way am I talking, south than what is indicated there, and it is all the way up to the property line. So where you see the last trailer, what you would see on your bottom left corner of the map, as I'm looking at the dome at the top, north, this is not indicative of what's there now, and that's what we were concerned, if they're gonna do anything continuing in the future. It looks like it's a long-term thing when you look, and there are APS built poles with electricity ports, and there are built individual sewer outlets for 8 trailers going across the property line that's right against my parents' house.
And again, we're not contesting any of that.
Okay.
Again, we initiated the code enforcement action because of that issue. We were not satisfied with it. It was put in without permits. And so this is, if you give someone a code enforcement action, tell them they have to cure an issue, then they have to try to follow the correct legal path. First step is rezoning. Next step will be submitting a site plan and going to a conditional use permit in order to get a permitted RV park.
Okay.
If there are any RVs out there now, please do advise to put in a notice with our code enforcement officer. There are not supposed to be any RVs hooked up to any of that stuff.
Okay. Then I guess our concern is, because this is already not according to code, is that before you would approve some kind of a conditional permit, that, we really be given some more time and to really investigate this, because if this is happening right now without the permit, what's going to be happening if he gets a provisional? What's going to happen? So we're concerned about the neighborhood, the quality of life, the noise. There's so much more involved.
Plus my dad's water well, the well is literally right up to the corner where that trailer is. So we're concerned if there's some type of spillage or something right there, how does that affect the well? It's literally within 12, 13 feet of the well where that trailer is.
Have you had your water tested? Not recently.
When's the last time you tested your well water, Dad?
Probably 6 months ago. I get it tested at least once a year. And mainly for polyform, because polyform is waste material that can get into a well. And the sewer lines that have been put up, they're about fairly close. I'd say it'd be 40 feet, maybe less, maybe 30.
What was the result after you tested the water?
She wants to know what the results of the water test was.
Huh?
What was the result of the water test?
The last one that did it was the county. The county came and did a water.
And do you
But
have
that was a few
the
years ago.
do you have the results for that?
I don't have any result.
Okay.
I can get it retested again if I have
Okay.
to.
Can I, just another point of clarification, because we're gonna get mixed up here. This is not about conditional use. We're not meeting here today for conditional use.
Okay.
Is that correct, Todd?
Yes.
We are here just to talk about zoning from R18 to R3. The only time the conditional use would come into effect is when they submit a plan that, whether it be structures or whether it be RV spaces,
Okay.
that's when we start talking about conditional use.
Okay. And there would be opportunity for this again.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
And I think going forward for our engineer, that you did great detail to put the detail of all these buildings, but you failed to put the easement. Either you didn't know the easement was there.
I didn't know.
Okay, so this somewhere, I don't know if you put this drawing together, but that needs to be called out next time, if we meet again with the easement, and then maybe the engineer actually place whatever's there now, that's not, that they have a citation or the code enforcement, they're in violation, they need to reflect that what it looks like today. If it's in the easement and it's backing up to your property line, it needs to reflect what it is today, too. I don't know if that helps any.
Well, this is just a conceptual drawing.
Yeah, I understand that,
But so and no, drawing shouldn't say that we're gonna allow an illegal
Okay.
tap. So, and yes, that's a code enforcement issue, which the code enforcement officer is dealing with. And the easements still belong to the property owner, but they are you're not allowed to build any fixed structures inside those easements. So, that's definitely an issue that we have to deal with. And again, the first step in holding someone accountable for violating the building or zoning code is to make them come into compliance. So the only way to bring this into compliance for them would be to follow the proper zoning, rezoning, conditional use permit, design review process that we
I
have.
understand that. I just have seen that the drawing needs to reflect the easement, which it doesn't.
It actually does.
It doesn't say it on the little card. I mean, you may know it, I may know it, but people here don't know it.
But yeah, there's nothing currently constructed in the easement on this particular sketch. But what's actually built out there is not what we're discussing this.
I think just one more question. With the House Bill 2672 that passed recently, we're not sure if this would affect this particular parcel of land. I guess it matters if it's considered to be a vacation rental. Then the new HB 2672 that would pass, there would be some, I guess, different
Restrictions on times and the amount of people in each residence and that type of stuff.
That's actually for the people renting out their houses, the vacation rental industry where you go online and post your
I
house.
talked to the state representative, and he said if the city considers this a vacation rental, then it would apply. So if the city's, which they're also billing that on their webpage as a vacation rental, then it does apply.
Okay. I think we'd have to talk to our attorneys about that. 'Cause it seems like a stretch.
Okay, but that's okay, we want to put it out there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ruben Castro. I'm a concerned citizen and a relative of the family, Mr. River's family, son-in-law. First and foremost, I would caution the board to make any decision. My personal opinion is that the current zoning is appropriate for that area. It's a residential neighborhood. It has been for years. And it serves the town of Superior well as a residential neighborhood. Two, I'm not opposed, and I speak for myself, in progress. And when it makes sense for the town of Superior to make changes to their zoning for the benefit of the community, then I believe that's appropriate. I believe that's what you're charged with deciding to do. I don't believe that to be the case here. I would ask if you're considering making a decision tonight on this request to rezone, that you delay that until you have time to further research. I understand that it's a conceptual drawing, and I understand that they may have met the minimum required some notice for the community, but minimum and what should be done through your responsibility as a board is to serve the best interests of the community. And I would say that it's safe to say, in my opinion, that while adequate notice may have been made to address this issue, this appears to be more of an attempt to slide them in, as opposed to openly discuss the pros and cons of moving forward with something that's already moved forward. Which brings me to my second point. While I don't disagree that rezoning would be an avenue to pursue to address the current violations that have been mentioned in this hearing. I'm wondering when return back to its original condition stop being the first option. In other words, if something is built, put in, not received well, and in violation of the current codes, and there's not support for it, how does trying to change the code or the zone to accommodate it and bring it into compliance serve the community? To me, that's a concern. If there's a violation, if there's been construction that is in violation of the current code, then the focus, in my opinion, I could be wrong, would be to rectify that by removing the construction that has taken place and returning it back to its original condition so that it comes into compliance. And if it's rezoned and it allows for that construction to take place, then that would be the proper course of action to address that.
May I ask you, what is it? What do you mean by construction?
I'm really speaking right now, and in all due respect, I didn't come prepared to defend an argument, but more to make
So, I can't hear
a
you.
point. I didn't come here prepared to defend an argument, but more to offer my views and my opinions on this, much in the same way that the city's done. And this would be another argument for making sure that we delay this so that these type of conversations could take place and we could be looking factually at what currently exists and not speculating about whether the drawings are accurate, where the easement line is at. Not everyone, the community has its opinions and information, I get that, but this, you, the esteemed board, are the ones that are going to be making the decision on this. And I would want that you have a complete and accurate picture of what the current situation is and what's being requested going forward. So I don't really, and we have pictures of pads and electrical boxes, and we have pictures of trailers.
Yeah, but Ruben, this is irrelevant to what we're doing right now. So, but let me ask something. We've had tons of work sessions. We've done it for other stuff, just like this. Nobody shows up. This is the most people. We could have a work session right now, and it'll be Pam, Rick, his wife, Sue, and that's it. I mean, so, you know, what do? Otherwise, nothing ever happens. Everything gets stalemated. That's why it seems like nothing happens, because it gets stalemated. But right now, all we're trying to work on is just rezoning. We're trying to figure out if we need to do a work study on it and stuff like that. We appreciate your comments, but.
All right, I will close then by saying that I will make it a point to be more diligent in my attendance to these meetings so that I can contribute to my community. But I would also point out that if things aren't usually attended and then suddenly they are, where there's smoke, there's fire.
That's what we need. We need comments like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
One question from me. What did Lana ask you right now? I'm here.
He was talking about construction, and I could not understand what constructions is he's talking about on the property. And also my question or comment maybe, Mr. Here, you mentioned residential. This is exactly, our R3 zone is also residential. It's only multi-residential because the property is 2.31 acres. That's all.
So those trailers, Todd, or whatever's there now, will they get to stay?
The trailers or whatever there are, there's a stop work order on, they're not supposed to be renting out spaces at all. And
So those people have to move?
yeah, and that's, I've addressed that with the code enforcement officer. I understood that they were no longer renting spaces out. If that's not the case, then we need to send the code enforcement officer back down there. And I'll be clear, I'm not advocating for any particular solution to a problem. There are paths laid out in code that our citizens are allowed to follow if they would like to do a use for their property. And this is one of the avenues that is available for that property owner. So they have the right to put forth a zoning change amendment, and as against the town, we're not advocating for it as the solution or against it. The property owner can either get it approved, or they can revert to their previous status. All we're saying is it can't continue as it is. And that's, with code enforcement, the core issue is to say, this current situation is not legal, you have to fix it, and then they propose the fix that they're allowed under the code. And if this is a fix, they're allowed under the code. That's our only reason that this is brought forward.
Yeah, Mr. Castro, I think your point was that they had put the cart before the horse, and you were just clarifying that some work had been done prior to getting any approval, is that correct?
That would be one interpretation, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Marcelo Fernandez, and I happen to own 217 O'Donnell, which is right across the street from the proposed variance area. I did receive a letter, but it's been, gotta be like 6 weeks ago. I kept trying to figure out when this meeting was gonna happen. It was on there, and I had to look twice, but I kept thinking it was in May, and it was in June, so I am here. Right now, we're getting a lot of noise from the traders coming and going. The generators that they're running out there is totally unacceptable. You can't have it in a residential area, and I would like for you to consider that when you give them permission to build. I know they want to put in quite a few more spaces, but I also understand that in Superior, we have 4 trailer parks on there. In Mendez's Trailer Park, we have the Buckport, the Lions, South Lions, and we also have Mr. Lewis. We have 4 trailer parks already. I think you should consider the fact that a 5th one is not necessary when you get to the zoning part on that.
Thank you.
That's it, it's just the noise that we are complaining about, because coming and going on that little street, it's bad, generators are bad at night. And I'm worried about the property values in that area too, if you put in a trailer park for the residents that have property there.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm John Tamron. I own the property at 218 and 220 Step Drive. And when did well, there is a sewer easement right there. And back when the sewer system was being put in, my argument with the sanitary district and Superior was, why are they putting in that easement there? And Mr. Lira's well sits where it sits, and by law it has to be 100 feet from any well. Okay, the sewer line went in, and when did it change to a 4-inch? I mean, from 4 to 10. Because I inspected it, and it was a 4-inch line when Mr. Smith hooked up to the sewer line. And it was a 4-inch line. I'm speaking. And there are traders there right now. There's 2 of them. And it's an ongoing thing, which, you know, if they got permission to do it, that's fine. But apparently they don't. And Todd, I've spoke to you about this before, and he says there isn't any, and I said, yes, there is. And there's pictures of it. But again, my main concern is Mr. Dara's well, and if there's any leakage, which we know there's a lot of leakage in our sewer system. Is it going to leak into his well, and are you guys going to take care of his well? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, hey, Todd, on that line, that was done, what, back in the 80s?
1976.
76? It's kind of like the Wild West back then, wasn't it? Doesn't make it right.
No, but there was laws and rules.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't make it right. But see, you see what we know here. I'm gonna kind of play the advocate on both sides. What we know, there's an easement. Correct? APS easement. What we know, there's current construction. Well, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna let this young lady. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. My name is Isela Lopez. I live at 121 South Smith Drive. And my questions, some of them pertain to what's going on now. And regarding, I understand this is a conceptual plan, but as it's already been mentioned, is there are no easements, there are no dimensions. There's not enough information on this for anybody, in my opinion, to grant the zoning change. Plus, there isn't enough information to say what's going to happen there. We all know that there are things going on there now, and it seems as if though nothing is being done about it. Even though that they have already been told to stop, it continues to go on. The definition of a, let me see, just have it here right now. For the urban residential R1-8 zone district, I'm going to skip through it. It's on page 5-3. It's on the first, the second paragraph. The intent of this zone district is to encourage a traditional neighborhood environment. Changing this to an R3 is going to take that away because of what's going on now. So I ask you guys, just like Mr. Castro asked, to look into this further before you grant this R3 zone. Because what's happening there now, even though they've been told to stop, continues to get bigger and bigger. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can I answer about the sanitary sewer? The sanitary sewer
Can you get to the microphone, please?
wastewater treatment facility manager went to check and he confirmed it was a 10-inch sanitary sewer pipe from the cleanout void. 4-inch, usually it's lateral 4-inch that goes from any residential to the main, and that was a 10-inch. It's very large. Even the 4-inch would be enough for 20 RVs. It has enough capacity. There should not be any leakage. And there is I'm assuming you're a civil engineer, right? You might.
It was a long time ago.
But you would agree with me on that. Yes. And again, that map is a conceptual map. It doesn't have to be a civil design map. It gives you all the setbacks for each RV place, which is the gray out squares are actual RV, like a little lot for each RV. And if they decide to go with RV park, they will have to consider all the concerns and to build sound wall, decorate it. And who will pursue that, they will have to do everything by rules and regulations in the future.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Any, yes, ma'am.
I just want to finish up my thought. Thank you. Thank you. I try to just boil this down to the basic nuts and bolts because we can get distracted here. It's what we know. We know there's a current violation, and there's a cease to stop. And that, with the assumption here from my end, is the town is going to enforce that. That's the assumption. Well, we also know that those lots are in the easement currently, based on what we're hearing from the neighbors. That's what we know. Well, we also know there's a 10-inch, not a 4-inch. We also know that this is all conceptual. So I'm going to put myself on the owner's side. If I own the 2.71 acres and I want to develop, let's just say an RV park that's seasonal or maybe homes, I can't do that without having the zoning in place. So if you get the zoning in place, there's no guarantee that you're going to even get approved for that because you have neighbors. Do you have the right water line feed? Of course, you have the 10-inch, the setbacks, the 10-inch sewer line. So even if we, us or the town council approve this, it doesn't mean anything's going to be built. It just gives the owner, the property owner, the opportunity to take the next step for development, which may or may not happen. Would that be fair?
Yes. Yes. And again, this is exactly how this process is supposed to work. The neighbors are notified and given an opinion to speak for or against it. So this is, we are seeing exactly how a zoning process is supposed to function. So this commission's decision at this point is whether or not you would like to move forward with this, whether you feel it needs more study, or whether you would like to reject the consideration, the zoning change. But again, this is, if you are a property owner, you have the right to attempt to rezone your property, and we have, as a town, the obligation to call a public hearing to hear that, and this commission has the right to decide on that presentation.
So, Doug, with the assumption that this is approved and the property owner comes back with a concept of whatever they're gonna do there, we're gonna have an actual detail design, at least, of where the facilities are, the setbacks, the easements, the size of the lots, can they handle the capacity, noise abatement, light abatement, sound walls, but we can't get to that. If I'm a property owner, I'm not gonna invest in that unless, so this is a risk on the property owner's side too. They may spend $10,000 to $50,000 and still not get approved because there may be an outcry from the neighbors. So, yeah,
That's correct.
That's good.
okay.
But
But,
on the same token, they're already, the owners are letting these people rent and put their trailers there, and it's already against the law.
so we're relying on the town to enforce that stop work order
Yeah, that's correct.
in good faith.
Yeah, and I will verify with the code enforcement officer, he is in fact following up on that. It's a, I don't personally go and write the tickets, the officers do, so I'll speak to
Yeah,
them.
because it's gonna make us look kind of, here we are, maybe authorizing or changing a zoning, and we got the property owner not abiding by the stop work, and that's kind of, it's bad for the town, it's bad for this body right now.
Yes.
I just wanted to get my 2 cents in here. That's a different issue, I think, if you want that, that's how I stop. But once the rezoning is done,
Speaking of the mic.
once that rezoning is approved, they have basically a legal right. I know it's a good legal case there, that you approved it for this use, and now I want to do this.
No.
No,
Um,
no, see that.
And I think also there's a question of spot zoning for this.
But if you rezone this R3, they have a right to consider it R3 a use. You have to be clear that that does not mean you can build an RV park. RV parks require a conditional use permit. This is a separate process. So that would come back before you again with another set of plans with the actual layout of the site. A zoning change just requires a conceptual idea of what you're going to do with it. With a rough sketch of where things are going to go on the property and the buildings that are already there. That's what the zoning requirement is. But for actual conditional use permit, that's going to require more detail. For the actual permit for the sewer taps and the power connections, that's going to require a civil permit, that requires an engineering study. So,
How did these people get hooked up to the lights and the sewer to begin with? That's not what that's not what my understanding.
No, there's electricity.
What's that? We can't hear you.
but if you're going to address the committee, please come to the mic and address the committee. No?
That's just my thought out loud. I thought isn't that RV has its own power
No.
battery?
No, there are power taps already out there. They were constructed. We did send the engineers out to stop that at the time. There was lots of discourse back and forth between the engineers and the owners. As far as I know, there were never issued any permits on those. So they are not legal installations.
Well, they cannot because they're not allowed to have a home.
So they're not allowed in the zoning designation, so they can never get a permit for it. So in order to start the process, in order to get a permit for that, the first thing they would have to do to get it done is a rezoning. Otherwise, we'll never get a permit for that installation at all.
David Gibson.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm grasping onto here, Todd, is, and I respectfully disagree that rezoning is a remedy for code violations. I think the first thing is to resolve the code violation and then go and get a rezoning. That's what I think here, in this case anyway.
And that's, generally, if you're a construction as built, you can go back and you can attempt to get a permit on something that you've already constructed. It's been done many times. It depends on the type of construction, whether that can be reasonably done. And that's, if you're trying to get a permit for something after construction is done quite often in this town. Unfortunately, people build without permits a lot. So we attempt to correct them whenever possible without having them tear it all the way back out again. That doesn't mean necessarily that if the zoning isn't permitted or they don't get the permit they need, that it won't be required at the end.
You know, when they come back in to get the permit to install the sewer lines, water lines, electrical, what's existing right now, will that have to be taken out and put back in, or taken out now?
It's up to the future design plans, we cannot say right now. They have to have a survey, topographic survey with all the utility locations.
Okay, who inspected the sewer lines and electrical and water right now?
The manager who was at the wastewater treatment.
No, he didn't do that. He couldn't have done the water.
He did the inspection.
No, and I'll to be clear, there's, as far as I know, there are no permits, so there are no official
So there are no
inspections.
inspections, right? Thank you.
Right, so all of it will have to be re-exposed and will have to be re-permitted if it's going to be used.
This Ruben.
Yeah, I understand the difficulty of the situation that parties requesting the change are in. And I'm sympathetic to that situation. But with regards to the rezoning request, I think I would recommend strongly to the board that it consider denying the request at this point, because it is a request that can be resubmitted more properly, with better information, maybe with more support from the community. I don't know, but am I incorrect in assuming that if it's denied now, that they're precluded from reapplying for a zoning change at some point down the road? If that's not the case, then I think that you have a heavy decision on you right now, because it's all or nothing. But if it isn't, I would say caution and prudence dictate that the petition be denied at this point, and perhaps resubmitted when at least the violations are corrected that have been documented that exist. Thank you.
Anybody else?
So Todd, they can reapply later on for a zone change, right?
Yes, you can choose to table it or not consider this, but it doesn't necessarily mean they can't come back later with one condition.
Can we table this till corrections are made there first and then come back to it, like table it for?
I would strongly caution the zoning commission from acting on items that are outside their purview.
Okay.
You have in front of you a fairly simple zoning request, so I would act on that request.
Is it possible to, can we put conditions on that request? Because there are some legitimate concerns on the existing build-out that was unauthorized and unexpected and all that other good stuff. So I don't know where the liability lies, whether it lies on the town side or if it lies on the homeowner side or the property owner side. So I'm kind of like what you got down there, you know, it's like, we know there's a violation there. Is in due diligence, you know, we request the property owner come to the table and make sure that that meets codes, and then maybe put limits on it, you know, on the R3. If we go to the R3, that these are the conditions set forth. If we go that way, we've got X amount of days or months to remedy temporarily or get a conditional use somehow to make that the revenue stream for the property owner? And if they don't abide by it, then go back to stop work? Is that too far of a stretch?
I think that we're attempting to stretch into items that are not.
Okay.
That's what I thought. If something's in violation of law,
It's violent.
that's the law enforcement officer's
Okay.
ability to deal with. They have judgment, and they have the ability to prosecute that. Our prosecutor can decide
All right.
if he's going to give them time to cure the condition. That's up to them. It's a separate issue.
Okay.
Todd, just my opinion right here, bad maps, bad information, we have violations that have occurred, and we're expected to move forward on something. You know what I mean? The road's washed up ahead, it's washed out. Let's go back a little bit and just get all this stuff corrected. How can we move on a project when everything from the get-go it started bad? Let's regroup and reapproach it. But right now, a map here that doesn't show any easements, doesn't show any city lines, bad verbiage, and if we have violations here, that doesn't set a precedent good for anybody else that is coming into the community that wants to start a project.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying. This is a simple question to the committee, whether or not you'd like to consider this, send it back, table it for more information. Again, that's entirely up to you. When the application was made to us, we present the information we're given, and it's up to the department and the commission to decide whether to act on that or to table it in the future.
May I answer? About the map, I think I was trying to make a point. This is just a picture for rezoning. It's not a design plan for RV park. It doesn't have to show, it's just a picture to show you this is the property, this is the existing house, it's a Google map. It's not a design plan. It's just a picture to show you their proproperty that they're rezoning.
Well, a better
It
picture
doesn't
would have
have
been
to
better.
have,
A better
it has-
picture would have been better though for the description.
It has the enough information for the rezoning.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of like in Mr. Mendoza's corner, because we have an engineer that wasn't even aware that there was hookups and power. That, right there, that was a little concern to mind, that there wasn't due
I
diligence.
don't think that that's correct. She was aware.
Oh,
I
she
think
was.
that's a
Oh, I thought I felt
entirely
that.
a misapprehension on your part.
Okay, I thought I came across that
No,
way.
no, that's
Oh, I gotta listen with my better ear.
My opinion is that there was too much of a cloud over this situation, and I personally can't make a decision either way because there's not enough information. People have done something that they weren't supposed to do, so it has to be a cease and desist order immediately and work stopped until the proper channels, the proper planning, the proper approvals are done. I mean, I can't make a decision on that until the people are made whole, until the information is whole, and we have all the information in front of us. I personally can't make a decision on it.
Hey, Todd, question? Being I have a lot of land too, and I know what taxes cost, all that, can I abstain from voting on this? Because that's what I feel like I'm in conflict of interest personally.
Do you have a personal, you would have a conflict of interest if you had made a personal financial gain from the.
No, I do not.
And it's not really a conflict of
Okay.
interest. You may choose to abstain for your own reasons, but I don't think conflict.
Okay.
I've heard that before.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Master. I think I forgot what I was going to say. However, thank you, Mr. Munoz. Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez, Mr. Gunn, and Mr. Garcia. I think moving forward with this, in light of the multiple code violations, would be rewarding them for their code violations. It just needs to stop. Fix that first, and then we come back to the table
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I have one more comment, then I'm done. I've been at the Buckboard Restaurant, the Buckboard property, for 3 years now. The wind blew cabin 4 down. I took it upon myself to clean it up before any of my tenants or any of my customers got hurt, so I cleaned it up. I had a cease and desist order to stop from Pinal County. And they got a call from the town of Superior that I was building. So I had a cease and desist stop. I got cited $400 for tearing down cabin 4, which I didn't tear down. I cleaned it up and got disposed of it. Okay. I've gone back to the county to get permits to either fix or to tear down the remaining cabins on the property. And Ms. Anderson and I have talked in detail about fixing them up because, you know, I wanted to fix them up. Can't fix them up. I can't tear them down. 3 years stuck. And I'm trying to do it legally. I bought an RV that they brought up to the property. I bought it from the gentleman that needed help so he could go on his way. Shortly after that, the town of Superior code enforcement officer went and told me what I was doing there was illegal. I said, what am I doing wrong? I don't know, but they sent me down here to tell you you're doing it wrong. You need to stop. And I laughed just like you guys did. I got a hold of Todd. I don't know if there was a lack of communication between town hall, code enforcement office, you know. Bottom line is, I got with Todd. Todd told me what I needed to do. Take a picture of my operating permit, my county permits, all the permits that I had to pay for that trailer park that had never been registered through Pinal County. But when I purchased the property, I went and registered it to be legal. I sent it to Todd. It's posted up in the building where people can see it. I'm done. The code enforcement officer left me alone, but he couldn't answer me what I was doing wrong. Now, I hope code enforcement officer does the right thing this time. Thank you.
Do I hear a motion on resolution 2019-03?
Question?
Yes, sir.
After we go to the motion, is there going to be time for comments before we go for a vote?
Sure.
Okay.
I move this commission deny this zoning change.
Motion made by David Gunn to,
I second it. I second it.
say what you said again, David?
What's that?
What'd you say?
I move to deny this zoning change.
Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Jesse. First made by David Gunn to deny, seconded by Jesse to deny. Hank, how do you vote?
Can we make a comment?
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. I look at things in black and white here. There's a lot of emotion, and I'm sympathetic to the property owners and also for both property owners. I look at where we're going for development. And me personally, if I was to vote, my vote is going to be to make the change. Because if I'm looking at a developer, because that's what we're looking at, they can't even begin to understand to move forward with a conceptual drawing or engineered drawings with all the things that we discussed for a proposed RV park or structures. We don't know that. So I think I agree with everything you guys are saying, because I would be concerned about that. But all we're doing, from the way I look at it, is giving an opportunity for the owners to move forward with engineered drawings with the understanding and I'm hoping the town to is, that there is gonna be a cease and desist on what's going on there. Because I totally agree with that too. So that's, I'm not voting on what the town is doing on a cease and desist. I'm gonna vote on the fact that we have a potential, developer or property owner, but they can't move forward with anything unless they have that. And even if it goes to, comes back to us for conditional use, for RV, whatever their shoots, it still may not happen. They may spend a lot of money doing this and wind up at a dead end. But we're not gonna know until we get there, so that's my comment.
I have a question. We have the property owner here, and I haven't heard any comments from the property owner. There's been lots of comment about you, but you haven't actually taken a moment to defend yourself. Would you like to?
Is it allowed to when we're in the process of the vote?
As far as I know, has a vote been called?
No, it has not.
They don't have to legislate.
I'm Susie Ketchman. I'm actually the trustee for the property. And some of the questions that have come up, I understand that we need to do specific things. There is no construction going on right now. The easement that was talked about is a utility easement. We have not constructed anything permanent that would do anything to a utility easement. What other questions do we have?
Well, as a property owner, I think what I would hear from the neighbors is that there's use for commercial use and it's interfering with their lifestyle because there's no sound wall, there's no barriers, noise, and all that other stuff. I think that's what they're concerned about.
We can't proceed with any of that until the zoning change is accomplished. At this point, what we're trying to do is to move forward and do everything that the town requires. Part of the property is in the county. So, and we do have a legal campground permit from Pinal County. So, and that's for the county portion. The city, and this is what we're trying to do is to move forward. I think it would be an asset to the community. I know someone said something about generators. We don't have generators. I know that there was a truck that was parked in someone else's driveway that was running a generator for quite a while. That's not us.
That was the freezer, and that was me. And I have a town permit to operate it.
But that's not our noise. We
No,
have
that's my
generators
noise.
running.
That's my noise,
Okay.
which isn't there anymore.
That my understanding was that people were saying that their noise coming from the Block 8 property, and you also mentioned that too. So that was totally my understanding.
The question is, are RVs currently on the property or occupied?
There is two. I parked one this morning, and there's one, and it's in the county.
It's in the county, we don't know.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not.
One
Is
of
it
them
the
is.
county, Susie?
One is in the county, yes. And the one this morning, I did park it in the city, and that's my fault.
Are these occupied?
People are coming and going. There's people arguing in the area.
Okay. The question would be, you can store an RV on your property behind your property line. You cannot live in an RV in the town limits without a permit. Right. So that's the question. Since we're here, I could ask that so that I can address it with John and make sure that he's checking it.
Sure.
All right?
Susie, I have a question.
Sure.
The whole question of rezoning, your aim here is to develop an RV park.
Yes.
Are we talking, because I'm looking at the map, and it actually looks like a park model park. Are we talking?
I don't know who did the conceptual map. I could tell you, but we're talking RVs. We're talking a seasonal RV park where people would be here in the wintertime. There would be no one living permanently in the RVs.
Are you thinking time limits? Or like, 6 months
Seasonal.
a year at a time?
Wintertime, primarily.
But it would be 4 people coming off the highway looking for a place to
Exactly.
stop. Okay, not an actual park.
It's not going to be, no
Okay.
park models, no trailers.
And I would point out, just as a sideline, there's 27 odd acres outside of city limits that this property owner owns that they could use as an RV park. There are 2.5 inside town limits. We're talking about the 2.5 acres within town limits. But that we have no control over what happens in the county.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I'd like to make one more comment. I think the basic thing here is paramount, the law and order and the rule of law has to be followed. And there's too much of a cloud over this, that taints everything. So, I can't go forward with voting at all. I hope to abstain from it because it's so cloudy. I don't have anything to base it on.
Okay, take a vote.
What are we voting on?
Yeah, what was the question?
David Gunn made a motion to deny the permit. Approval of resolution 2019-03. Jesse Garcia made a second. So,
I don't support that. Is that a yea or nay?
we're gonna take a vote right now.
Okay. All right.
You have conditions on
No.
No.
Henry, how do you vote?
No.
No vote to, deny the permit?
To deny, yeah.
Okay.
So that'd be a yes, no?
Yes.
That'll be a yes.
Yeah.
Okay, a yes vote from Henry Munoz in favor of denying the permit. Hank Gutierrez?
No.
No, so you'd be in favor of,
I'd be in favor of changing from R18 to R3.
no from Hank Gutierrez. Sherry?
it? Yes, but with condition that.
Well, you have to do that and everything.
Okay.
So you vote yes?
Yes.
Yes vote from Sherry Fedor.
Is that yes to deny?
Yes to
Yes
deny?
to deny.
Okay.
Lacking information.
Yes. Yes to deny.
Yes to deny from Jesse Garcia. David Gunn.
Yes to deny.
Yes to deny from David Gunn. Joy?
Yes to deny.
Yes to deny from Joy Evelyn. No in favor of 2019-03 from Matt.
So what's the vote?
We got 5 in favor of denying and two opposed to denying. Motion carries to deny 2019-03.
All right.
Do I hear a motion?
We do have some call to public. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to speak. One of you want to call to
Something a little bit. Anybody else need comment?
Is the general call to the public or?
Yeah. Last minute?
Thank you.
Actually, I do.
Okay.
Commissioner Mashaw, your point to me was really taken to heart, and I would encourage everyone here to consider becoming more involved in the activities of our community. We have made great strides. We really have. I mean, it's time to move forward in many, many positive ways. And that's not to say that this project that may be down the road can't be part of that. But we all have, myself included, have a responsibility. So I thank you for bringing that to my attention, and I will be in attendance going forward. And would also like to thank the city and the commission for their efforts in due diligence.
Well, I appreciate everybody coming and make their comments, but Ruben, as a matter of fact, a few months ago when we did changes on RV parking and all that, we had people screaming for RV lots.
I'll be there for the next one.
Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Joy to join the meeting, adjourn the meeting, do I hear a second? Second. seconded by Henry Munoz. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries to adjourn the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Next month.
Yeah.